All right. What is up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Lifting, Running, and Living with your hopefully still favorite coaches, Kelly.
Hello.
Hey, and JK. That is me. All right. We are kicking off episode number 37 of the pod. And we're going to switch things up and start with updates. Hopefully, if you've listened to the show before, you know that sarcasm's coming heavy. We always start with updates. So, with that, Kelly, kick us off. What's going on in your world?
I thought you were going to actually switch it up, and I was like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah, did your like heart just drop to your stomach? Like, wait, what's
I was like, oh, we're going to start
what
with the
is
topic?
he? What is he about to do? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see.
Maybe one day I will. I'll come up with
Okay.
something.
Well, we'll see when that day comes. In terms of updates, my first update, I finally got a new laptop. And I don't remember which episode I was talking about it, but basically every time I edit this podcast or like MFA, if I have guests on, like the episode with Aaron and Audrey stressed me out because editing 3 different video tracks, because for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably everyone, I download our tracks separately and then put them into my editing software and then edit there. So it's like each track, especially when we go, you and I, for like 90 minutes, each track can be like 2 to 3 gigs each. And I just ran out of storage, physical and memory. So it was time. And it's kind of funny because normally when we're recording this, I can't see your face. It's all blurry, but everything is crystal clear right now, which I think is just my new laptop, which is exciting.
Oh, that's kind
Yeah,
of cool. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it
So,
naturally, for anybody that uses the Riverside software, they might be used to the fact that it does somewhat distort, or usually would distort the image, like to save for the, I think, amount of bandwidth that's being used. But
something
that's
like
cool.
that.
All right. Well, new
Yeah,
and improved.
new and
You're kind of
improved.
slipping though, because you referred to it as a laptop instead of a MacBook. Like usually
It is
Apple
a laptop.
users, I understand that, and also your typical Apple user never refers to a laptop as a laptop. They're like, I got a new MacBook. Just like they're like, I didn't get new
Oh,
earbuds. I got new AirPods. That's like an Apple
oh.
user's thing to do. Just saying.
Well, okay, you don't know this, but I didn't get a MacBook until I went to the data science boot camp in 2018. So before that, I was not a Mac user. So laptop is more ingrained in me than MacBook.
Okay, sure, whatever you say.
Well, because I had a laptop in college. For like 10 years, I didn't have a Mac.
Oh, so
Anyway,
you used to slum it with a Windows PC like the
I
rest of
slummed
us?
it with like an Asus. Yeah, I still have the old one. I gave it to Ty, but he doesn't use it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, but
All right, well, congrats.
congrats, thank you. And then by the time this comes out, this will be over, so I'll talk about it next time. But we're recording this on Sunday. Tomorrow, Monday, I leave for Seattle for my first work trip to meet
Ooh.
everyone I work with because we're a remote company. So
You've probably mentioned this before. It's a company of about how many people
I think there's
that
like
you know of?
60-ish of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's the engineering department that's going, and there's roughly like 20-ish
Oh,
of us.
nice.
So
Have you been to Seattle before?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
not for a while, but I went once or twice before.
Gotcha. All
Yeah.
right. Looking forward to anything in particular or other activities and stuff? Or how does that
They
go?
have us pretty packed, so I'm a little nervous about how it's gonna go because we're like, we have work obviously, and that starts at 8:30, and then like breakfast is right before that at 8, and then we're doing stuff after work, so we're gonna be busy until like my bedtime. We are going to a
Travel.
hockey game.
Is it the Kraken? Is that who the hockey team is?
Yeah,
Shoot.
and they're actually playing Colorado, which is kind of funny.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
actually an Avs fan. I'm a Caps fan, but
Okay.
I am the Colorado representative on the trip. So,
Gotcha. All right. Travel question for you.
yeah.
When you travel
Okay.
and you are staying at a hotel, do
Yes.
you unpack and use the drawers?
Haven't we talked about this?
We probably have.
If it wasn't you, I had this conversation with someone else. No.
Okay. You don't.
100% no. Unless I'm staying there for like a month.
Oh, well, that's short-term rental then.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
that's not a
No,
trip.
I
You've relocated for yeah, a month. Yeah, a month
yeah.
is temporary
Oh,
relocation.
I wasn't talking to you about it. I heard it on another podcast I listened to. So I feel like I had a
It's a common one
conversation.
that's come up here and there. I think Joy and Claire
Yeah.
talked about it, or that I think maybe one of them posted it in
I heard it
their stories a while back.
on Stassi, who is from Vanderpump Rules.
Okay,
So very
I'm a
unrelated.
I'm a unpack and use the drawers person.
That is,
Why
I don't
does that
know.
creep people out so bad?
It doesn't creep me out. I just don't understand using my time in that manner. I don't like packing,
Really?
I think is the root of the thing. So it's like once when I'm home and leave.
So
Once when I get home.
so
Unpack.
how long is it? So the trip that you're going on now, how long is that trip? How many days?
I
How
leave
many?
tomorrow night and then I get back Thursday night.
Okay, so that's a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. So 3 day. Okay, sounds
Yeah.
like your average work trip,
Yeah.
about 3 days. Okay, so are you planning? How do you go through all your stuff? Like, how do you find what you need and whatnot without using drawers and laying things out? Like, how does this go?
I use packing cubes and I know exactly where everything is.
Man, I just like to have all my stuff there, which is the exact opposite of like I'm not Mr. like put everything away and whatnot like
Yeah.
at home in any way, shape, or form. Like nowhere near that. I don't know when I'm staying somewhere, I like to put my stuff in the drawers always
I don't know if I've ever opened the drawers in a hotel.
for real.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know. I just
maybe
live
I
out of
don't
my
know.
packing cubes.
They have that I don't know if it's a Reddit post like the am I the a-hole.
Oh,
Like
yeah. That
ever
is a
is
Reddit
that okay? Is it
subreddit. Yeah.
Reddit? All right. Yeah. So it's like I feel like am I the weirdo because I unpack I
If it
unpack
makes
my stuff
you
for the most part. I unpack. I'm sure here and there I haven't done it, but for the most part I do.
if it makes you feel better, so does Stassi.
I have no idea who that is. I've watched maybe an hour of that show cumulatively
Oh.
in my life. Yeah. This isn't on the
Yeah.
rundown, but we probably should put Love is Blind on like the next rundown. Not the
Oh
current.
my.
Not the
Not
current.
the current.
No, no.
Why? Are you not watching?
I'm trying to keep things efficient here. No, because we could turn
Oh,
this.
not today, you mean.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like
Not
not.
today.
You're watching the current season though?
I watched a few episodes. Yeah. Still
Okay.
got more to go. But yeah,
Gotcha.
it's the put it on in the background show that you don't have to pay a whole lot of attention to for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
But anyways, all right. So
but yeah.
that's been settled then. All right.
I
Well,
will not be unpacking my suitcase while I'm
enjoy your packing cubes. It's all good.
They work really well. Plus, it's like being a work trip, I might think differently if it was a personal trip. But like for a work trip, I know exactly what outfit I'm going to wear Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But like if I go visit my parents, I'm just like, maybe I'll want to wear this. And then I pack a lot more clothes, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
That makes sense. I've found that when asking this question of people, there is rarely, if ever, I was gonna say never, but I always want to leave myself room to be wrong because
yeah.
it happens occasionally. However, I can't recall anyone who I've asked this question of who is in the middle. It is always like a
Oh.
very like vehemently for or vehemently against. Like there is no,
Yeah.
well, it depends. It depends on the cleanliness of the hotel, or it depends on if it's a work trip or personal, or if it depends. No, you either are a drawer user or you are not a drawer user. There is no in between.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's like one of the more polarizing questions I've found that you can ask people. So, yeah, that'd be a good icebreaker on your corporate retreat
Yeah.
because they always
Or-
have to have an icebreaker, right? Two truths and a lie.
We literally played that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, talk about it. So is there a more classic corporate icebreaker than two truths and a lie, or not even corporate? Just is there a more like universally accepted icebreaker
And I think the most common icebreaker is like, what's a fun fact about you?
that no one would ever guess?
Well, I mean, it's easier with work people
Yeah.
because they don't know as much versus like,
I don't
but
know.
yeah.
I would argue that two truths and a lie is more popular than what's a fun fact about yourself.
Not in my work environments.
No.
But two
Time
truths
to
and a
quit.
lie, it just takes a lot longer.
It does. Yeah, it
But
does.
yeah, I did fool everyone with mine.
Well, what I find interesting though is it's like I went to a meeting once where they just for the first time I was in an environment where they decided to use it after like a decent amount of people were kind of sauced up. So normally, yeah. So, like when you do two truths and a lie as the icebreaker when you're first kind of getting the group together, maybe there's not as much familiarity. It's earlier in the day, it's after breakfast, like something like that. It's earlier in the day, right? Which is a total different vibe than it's like the opener before you release everybody for happy hour
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, like people deciding what they want to reveal about themselves after like bagels at breakfast is a little bit different than, what Tiffany's willing to talk about when she's doing two truths and a lie later
Yeah.
on in the evening. It's I just remember being like, oh snap, this is going, like you might not want to go down this road because
could see
people
that.
were, yeah. Because I think that it's natural to think to yourself like, oh, well, maybe I'll share something that's kind of, something nobody ever would have guessed about me, like that sort of thing. But then, when you're a little sauced up, sometimes you're like, oh, they'd never realize I was like this. And you're like, whoa, hold on there. I don't know. I might still be scarred with some of the things I learned about coworkers back in the day. I was
Oh
like,
my
you could have kept
gosh.
that to yourself. Yeah. That's that phrase. Like, let's normalize not telling everybody everything. Like, let's do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Looks like you're being in charge of the work icebreaker.
Oh, I really hope not. I'm not a leader in the org. I'm just a worker. So
Well, you could walk in there and be like, hey, who wants to play two truths and a lie? Let's do this.
no, we already played that though.
Oh, well, whatever. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyways, other than that, once I get back next weekend, I have my first 5K of the 3 5Ks that I'm doing. So I'm hoping the travel doesn't drain me too much.
do you plan to train we go for a run or anything while you're out there? Or?
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a gym in the hotel. I haven't decided if I want to run outside yet because if I have to be at breakfast at 8, sun rises at 7:40, so I'll be running in the dark, which
Yeah.
is scary in a place I don't know. So I'm gonna feel it out. But
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw there's a gym, so like I could run on a treadmill. But
Let's play it by ear.
yeah. But we're staying by the Space Needle, so I think it's like a fine part of town. And we're not far from like the waterfront, which seems to be where a lot of people run. So
Never
But
been
yeah.
there before. Never been there.
maybe one day. But I am not planning on lifting because there's just not going to be time, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless
That's
I wake
fair.
up like you at 4 a.m.
Just depends.
Yeah.
And whoever knows what the hotel gym fitness center
That's true.
ever looks like. Whoever
There's a
knows.
picture, but I'll have to update you on how close it is.
We've texted about this before, like
Yeah.
picture versus reality. It has become a favorite game of mine to first find like a picture from the website
Yeah.
and then just put a poll on my stories like, okay, so what do you think are the chances that the gym will actually have like this equipment that was there and
Yeah.
in working condition? Sometimes I've been surprised. Sometimes it's like, oh, yep, this was like 5 years ago. And people
Yeah.
have stolen random dumbbells and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, luckily you can't steal a treadmill very easily, so. But they can be broken.
This is true. This is facts.
Yeah, so
Well, cool.
TBD. But that's really all
Right.
I've got going on.
All right. Well, as far as my updates go, let's see here. We're recording this on October 20th. So last weekend, and the days just kind of all smushed together. I think it was last weekend. we were down at University of Alabama for family weekend. I was going to call it parents weekend. It's not specifically parents weekend. It's family weekend. So myself, my wife, and our son, we all went down and got a chance to hang out with our daughter, who is a freshman at University of Alabama, and we got a chance to take in our first SEC football game. So
Oh yeah.
that was a lot of fun. It was a cool experience, just to be able to just soak all that in. I went to Michigan State, and so I was used to like Big Ten football and just like larger football games and all that stuff. So that wasn't completely foreign. It's just the SEC, like as a conference, as a sports conference, and then specifically as a football conference, just has like a different vibe or a different aura to it. So it was really cool to be in a stadium of like, I think they seat 100,000 people in that stadium.
Whoa.
So yeah, it was super cool. Cool vibe all the way around. The football team this year is not performing as well as it has in years past. They have a new coach after Nick Saban, who's in many circles considered like the best college football coach of all time. So it's been a more challenging season than what Alabama fans are used to. They might be a little spoiled and a little overreact. They might overreact just a little bit here, because is it your boss that's a Alabama fan? Or okay, yeah. So and they just lost yesterday. They lost to University of Tennessee yesterday. So I think it's the first time that Alabama has lost 2 SEC games before November since like 2007 or something crazy. So yeah. So people are already like, he's ruined the program, talking about the new coach. Yeah. So anyways, it was great to just be in that environment and soak things up and whatnot. Safe travel all the way down and all the way back. It was just a really cool vibe, cool experience. And it also was just a reminder of the investment, like both financial and otherwise, like travel and time and things like that go into going to major sporting events. Like just thinking about it, it was kind of like, okay, well, you get your tickets, and then also in that particular stadium, it seemed like pretty much the majority or almost all of the seats, save for like the luxury boxes and stuff like that, seemed like all of the seats were bleachers. So then if you wanted, it was like, I think $20 and you could have a seat back put on like the back of on the bleachers. So that was like $20 for that. And then it's a football game. So you're going to be there. You're going to be there at least 2.5 hours, at least. Yeah. And especially with all the TV timeouts, the regular timeouts, penalties, like halftime, all that stuff, the pomp and circumstance. You want to get there before the game starts. It's going to take a while to get out. We were there for about 4 hours, which is about what you plan. And especially in the hot sun, like you're going to want some drinks. You're going to want to eat, all that stuff. It definitely, like it just reminded me of how much of a privilege it is to be able to attend sporting events. So I had this thought. So you know how you'll see those videos of like after the game, like some kid gets like the towel, or the basketball player takes off their shoes and hands it to like some kid down at like the court or whatnot.
Yeah.
I would dig some sort of way where they were able to do something like that pretty consistently at like the middle to high level seating.
Yeah.
Just kind of thinking about that. Like I think that would be something pretty cool too. And I'm speaking from the standpoint of somebody who's had seats everywhere in between, from, not specifically courtside, although I've been pretty close, all the way up to like nosebleeds, like all the way through. I would imagine player safety can become kind of an issue or whatnot. I was just thinking, man, how cool would it be like after a game if a player just walked up to like the middle section, or somehow was able to get to the nosebleeds or whatnot and do something like that. I don't know. Be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, just kind of thinking through that. So, anyways, yeah, first SEC football experience. That was a fantastic time. So we had a good time there. Also, that transitions into my other update that I've got. Just while we were out of town, decided to take that actually the week before, and then a few days after that, took that as basically a reset week. So reset slash deload from the heavier lifting. So dialed the intensity back quite a bit. Still lifted the same amount for the most part, same amount of frequency, like around 4 or 5 days a week. Still lifted. Still got in like just about the same amount of steps. That dipped actually a little bit now that I think about it. With a couple of days of being in the car for 10 hours each.
Yeah.
That'll kind of do
That's
it.
tough.
Yeah. So that transitions into just an update on what's going on fat loss phase wise. So initially, I started my fat loss phase around middle to end of August. I think it was around the 20th-ish of August. And we were going to carry it through till around October 7th, reevaluate, see where things were at that point, cut it or keep going. And we've decided to continue. So I'm going to continue through, I think I'll finish up like the week before Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving, somewhere around there. So we basically got about 4 or 5 more weeks is what we're looking at. Really, I just feel like there's further that I can go. And also, that reset was a really good refresh time. Also wasn't feeling fantastic. Like, was doing is it allergies? Is it a cold? Do I maybe have COVID? It wasn't that as serious as that. But I was going through a few days of just like more sniffles than usual and different things like that. So definitely took some time just to like refresh and re-engage. So really getting back into things really this week is like the big push, like back into fat loss. And we're going to push it a bit further and see where things go. So, in correlation with that, I bought a new scale. I had to do that too because my scale broke. So,
Oh.
yeah, it just stopped working. And also I've had it for probably 2, maybe 3 years. Yeah, somewhere around there. So it's not the scale's fault. In fact, I just bought the updated version of the same exact scale. I have the Withings scale. So
The what?
Withings is the name of it. Withings.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is how
They
it
make
sounds.
Yeah, Withings. They make 3 different scales. I believe mine's the lower end of the 3. There's like a Body
Okay.
Smart, a Body Comp that tells you a bit more, and then something else where it actually has like the handles where it'll do like the electrical impedance.
Oh.
If you want to, we're basically, I think it's trying to mimic
In body?
yes, thank you. Yeah, I think it's trying to kind of mimic an in-body because it has like the handles.
Yeah.
It's like this thing that you like pull it up and like hold it. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
But that was like $400. I was like, nope,
Yeah, I bet.
not all about that. Yeah. So, so things are basically, it was kind of like, it felt somewhat like a break,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way to put it. Basically a break, and weight went up maybe about a pound or 2, I think, during the break, like on average, maybe up, somewhere around like, let's say up about a pound and a half to 2. So basically stayed pretty steady. So
Yeah.
feeling pretty good about those things. So those are my updates.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into some hot topics. We're making this a
topics.
miscellaneous hot topics show. Oh, is
Did
that
you
the
know
jingle?
Hot Topic is still a store?
I am aware of this because because I know someone. I have a person who I used to work with, who now is in corporate with them and is still thriving. She's an excellent person. Yeah, it just reminded me. Like, yeah, I do know that. I remember that used to be like it was basically like if you were a freak, like that was where you shopped. I'm not gonna lie. That's
Yeah.
how we looked at it before.
Or
I'm
emo.
probably sure I offended somebody. Also, I got one of the coolest Kanye West bear shirts there that I had ever found at one point. Yeah. But I remember Hot Topic was like the rebellious, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it
It's
was
like
like the new age
alternative.
Spencer's. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Spencer's.
I think I was at a mall once where they had a Hot Topic across from a Hollister.
Oh, that's funny.
And that was amazing. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, man, could you just put a party together and only invite those two stores and just they meet in the middle of the mall and have a party? Because that would be super interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Hot Topic was the joint. All right. So anyways, hot topics. All right. We got just a few random things that are going on that we thought would be kind of cool to discuss. So the first one is something that you had put me onto. So do you want to talk about this one, the Wikipedia scandal?
The Wikipedia
Saucy.
scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the runners out there might know this already. This is not current anymore. It's been like 2 weeks, I think, maybe. Has it been 2 weeks? I don't know what time
It's
it is.
it's been a few weeks, but
It's been
whatever.
a bit, yeah. But basically, Camille Heron is a really good ultra runner. She's mostly known for ultra running on the road or the track. And she was caught in a scandal where her and her husband were caught editing her wiki page and other ultra running athletes' wiki pages to remove some words like world's best ultra runner from like Courtney Dauwalter and Killian Jornet, who are some of the best in the trail
So
space.
petty. That's so petty.
Yeah. And then they were just like fluffing up her own page. And yeah, they got caught. I don't know what has happened since then. I know that like the week it all came out, that the account was linked back to their IP address. And it was actually the second account attached to them. So like the first one got shut down for, I think it was conflict of interest in the edits it was making. And then they created a new account to do basically the same thing.
It's wild.
And if any of these facts are wrong, I apologize to anyone out there who knows better. But this is what I remember when it came out. So that came out. She like deactivated her social medias, and then her husband put out a statement basically saying like it was all him. Camille had nothing to do with it, but he didn't touch on like why there were edits on other people's pages. It was basically like, my wife has been bullied, so I wanted to make sure her page was accurate and she got her accolades kind of thing. And then she put out an apology, air quotes, basically saying like she's been bullied. I don't fully remember what it said, but what I do remember is they have not addressed touching someone else's page. So like why they would go edit Courtney's or Killian's. And yeah, I think the next day or 2 days later, her sponsor Lululemon dropped her. So
Ooh,
that's
a problem.
that was like a big thing because it was pretty quick. But
Did I read correctly that she was the first ultra runner that Lululemon had sponsored too?
yeah,
That's not awesome
no,
at all. Yikes. That'll make an interesting Netflix special at some point.
yeah,
Because I feel like there's so
ugh.
much more to that. There's so much more to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely like a lot more that we don't know. And I've seen a lot on both sides of the aisle. Like she deserved to lose her sponsor because of what she did kind of thing. And then other people are like, it's just editing a wiki page. Like, what does it matter? Like no one reads Wikipedia kind of thing.
Snap.
Which, like,
I
you
use
know.
Wikipedia all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, editing someone's Wikipedia page is pretty small. But from what I've read, which again, I did not fact check, so who knows, but I have heard
Yeah.
over the years of her, like, whenever someone would break one of her records, she'll challenge it, which doesn't necessarily mean it's like malicious kind of thing. Could just be like, I want this to be accurate before you take this record away from me, kind of thing. Like, did you follow the rules? And I've gotten the impression, just based on what I've heard about her. Again, I don't know her personally, so I don't know.
Oh my gosh, you've put in enough disclaimers.
I know.
People don't, they'll be fine.
I've always gotten the impression that she is jealous of the trail ultra runners because they get more media and more recognition. Like, the people, not a lot of people know who Courtney Dauwalter is. Like, she's been on Joe Rogan, but
okay.
Yeah, she's one of the best female ultra runners,
Okay.
which is now not on her Wikipedia anymore. But like in the trail space, like she has a lot of course records. She's won a lot of big races. Like she won like UTMB, which is one of the biggest ultra running races of the year, and it's like a big deal for an American to win too. And she's American. Where was I going with this? But yeah, I've always gotten the impression that Camille is jealous because like Camille's done a lot of really cool things. She has a lot of records, but road and track ultra running just don't get as much coverage. So I feel like there might be some jealousy. Like, why are they getting so many accolades when like I've been here doing really good things, like really cool things in the sport, but people seem to care less, kind of thing.
Yeah, at some point I'd be curious, and when I say curious, just like if information happens to come out, I have 0.0% chance of putting any effort into figuring this out. So
I'll probably see it and send it to you.
yeah, it's just when. So the reason I say it that way is because sometimes when I will say, yeah, just be curious to know blah blah blah, somebody will be like, oh, you need to read this 300-page book. I'm like, oh, let me reset the expectations. Like, I was just talking. I'm not really going to look into this. So if the information happens to come out at some point, I would be curious to find out what the timeline or correlation was with these particular edits being made, like to figure out, okay, was it all about basically trying to pump herself up so that she could get brand deals and things like that from places like a place like Lululemon? And then she and or her husband, I don't believe for a second that her husband did it without her knowledge, sort of a thing.
Oh, me neither.
And it's like, was the plan to do this just to get to a certain point? And then it was like, okay, after we get those brand deals or whatnot, then we don't really need to do that. But it was almost like trying to like puff things up to make herself look better than she was, even though she sounds like she was already a very accomplished athlete, like really pump up the sales package so that you could land the big sponsor. Or is this just some sort of kind of like it's almost like the gambling addict, like they think they'll get themselves out of debt, so they're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna lay this one more bet, and then I'm up 100,000, like I'm good, but they just can't walk away from the table, and they keep going. Like, I just wonder. I'm always curious about like the psychology behind those things. You don't think so?
Yeah, I don't think it's the first, because the sponsors that would likely sponsor her, she's not really competing with the more popular ultra runners because they're like trail companies, and she doesn't run on trail,
Well,
like,
I mean, Lululemon is huge.
Yeah, but like
that's huge.
They're not specifically in the trail space, and like Courtney is sponsored by like Solomon, those kind of companies, like in the outdoor space. Okay. So it's like, I don't know, but I doubt that Courtney was like, I'm going to try to get Lululemon to sponsor me. That, and like, you don't know Courtney Dauwalter, but she wears like basketball shorts. So she's like not what Lululemon is, like does not wear spandex, doesn't wear like crop tops. That's not her vibe. Loose t-shirt and basketball shorts is her vibe. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. She's chilling with the homies. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Okay.
So I don't think I suspect it wasn't for like a sponsorship thing. I suspect it's more of a like, just like her personality seems to really care about things being right. And like, that's what I've gathered from the articles I've read around the scandal, at least. And like, someone putting that someone is the world's best ultra runner, like in her mind, that's not right, because she's also the world's best ultra runner, just in a different arena, you know?
So maybe more of an ego play than anything.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that kind of
Okay.
thing.
All right. Well,
So yeah,
anything else on that one?
I don't think so.
No?
I do have to let Pumpkin into this room though before he scratches
Come
through the
on
door.
in. Come on in.
He's so concerned because I'm the only human in the house right now,
Oh,
and the
fair
door
enough.
was closed. You know.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's bounce to the next one. So we've
Yeah. Where do you want
talked
to go next?
about, let's talk Whoop.
Whoop.
Yeah, because the other one, like the Atia thing, that's kind of more scandal. So let's take a break from scandal for a second.
That is scandalous.
I'm totally making
Yeah.
that up.
Well,
So
it kind of
Whoop,
is. I watched that video.
yeah, so Whoop has decided to add step count to their metrics. So
Yeah.
yeah, there is. So let me pull this back up from Twitter. X. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Elon.
Because Elon for sure listens.
Yeah, so let's see. This was back on October 10th. So Will Ahmed, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So sorry, Will. I'm doing a lot of apologizing on Elon's internet. All right, so steps now on Whoop. Why did I change my mind on steps? Admittedly, I spent a decade bashing the metric, which, yes, he did spend a decade literally talking about how steps were basically, yeah, he bashed it completely and was like, we won't do that. In paraphrasing, we won't do that. They're inaccurate. There's no evidence, blah, blah, blah.
They're inaccurate.
That it's not any sort of a useful metric, essentially. Like that. And I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
when he says he spent a decade bashing the metric, like he openly spoke out against the, basically the usefulness of
Yeah.
steps. So what he said, he had 4 bullet points. Said number 1, research now shows that step counts over 8,200 a day lowers risk for variety of chronic diseases and obesity. 2, members really wanted it. 3, we can measure steps and strain. It doesn't need to be an or. Members who want it can use it. Others can remove it. And then 4, which I dig this. I got tired of hearing that people sorry, let me rewind. I got tired of hearing that people would wear another device in addition to Whoop solely to get steps, which is a lousy member experience. Should be a net positive. Enjoy. So, yeah. So long story short, Whoop is now enabling their devices to track steps after the founder has spent a large portion of time speaking out against why they would ever want to add steps. So my first thought was more from the business aspect. So
Yeah.
those who may have listened to like some of the rants that I've had on this podcast and then also my own podcast most recently with like talking about some of the decisions that were made at the CrossFit Games after the death of Lazar Dukic. I have this brain that sometimes will first, when I'm trying to figure out different perspectives, whenever there's a business involved, I take some time to try and think about it from a business point of view because it's so easy to immediately have like the response of, oh, well, he's going back on his word and he has no integrity and whatnot. And my first, like when I filter it through a business decision standpoint, yeah, one, Whoop has some pretty heavy hitters in the game. So they've got Stephen Bartlett, who is he was on the UK version of Shark Tank called Dragon's Den, and he is the host of Diary of a CEO, that podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so Steven, he's got a really, really well followed Instagram page, which is just like Steven. And you know you're good when it's just one word, Steven. But Stephen Bartlett, I am pretty certain is an investor in Whoop because he's talked about it on his podcast and then started doing advertisements for it and things like that. They've heavily invested in getting some heavy hitters from like pretty high level athletes in the game. I want to say at one point they had Patrick Mahomes on board from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh,
Yeah, like
he's
they're not
everywhere.
playing. Yeah, they're not playing though. Like they have like some heavy investment in this, and inside of the Facebook group for Whoop users, which I don't think is an official Whoop thing. I don't think. Can't remember. But this is something that's been a thing for quite a while where people would talk about, yeah, I wear my Apple Watch and I wear my Whoop.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there was a good, strong voice of people who were complaining about like never having a screen. They're like, why won't there be a screen? And that so
Oh,
far
that's
they've
me.
held fast to. Yeah. Yeah, you're one of those one of those people too.
Well, yeah, I wear my Garmin and my Whoop when I run, and it's like,
Yeah,
frankly, kind of annoying.
makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that from a business standpoint, though, they took a look at if we are going to continue to have a viable company that can still at least not just maintain. So let me take that away. That will grow in the future, and this is something that we possibly could budge on without giving in on the whole we're not going to have a screen thing, because that would wildly change the that would change so much stuff, not just design, like the actual like battery life would change immensely
You
and
know what I
whatnot
think
with
they
charging.
should try to do?
What?
A removable screen. I don't
I
need a
don't.
screen all the time.
I don't
That's
at
just what
all.
I want. They have the thing, the charger just slips right on. Why can't my screen just slip right on? I use it while I run, then I take it off.
Okay. I if I were in a position to like offer a like response as somebody who was a representative from Whoop, I would double down on you don't need like yet another distraction.
It's not a distraction though. It's so I know how far I've gone and things like
Well,
that
if you
without
want that,
like
you
having to take my
can
phone out.
if you want that, you should be focusing on the the activity itself.
I don't need I'm not
Whoop is
constantly looking at
Here's the
my
thing.
screen.
Well, think about it this way.
I'm just saying they could
Whoop is
capture
in
more runners if they did this.
maybe they're not interested in doing that though.
One day they're gonna be.
It's a recover it's a
They
tool
weren't
to
interested in
measure
steps
recovery.
until now.
Yeah, they saw that there were a bunch of people who kept buying other devices, and they specifically were saying, I'm buying this other device because I want to be able to track my steps.
Yeah.
And what happens is you buy that other device. It's like I really, this is going to be the wackest analogy, and no one is surprised that I'm about to come up with a really random analogy.
Yeah.
It's like I go to McDonald's because I love the hamburgers, but I keep going, like I always get my fries from Wendy's. You keep going to Wendy's
You
to
could
get
have
the
chosen
fries,
better fast food
whatever,
places than
okay?
that.
You keep going to Wendy's to get the fries. Eventually, you're going to try and give Wendy's hamburger a try too, because you're like tired of paying for two different places.
Okay, but how is that any different than why I buy a Garmin?
I wouldn't say
I
that
have
you
left Whoop because of
I
this.
understand. I would not say that you represent the average Whoop user. I think the average Whoop user, I think Whoop is much more popular in like the CrossFit and CrossFit adjacent space than it is in the running community.
Oh, they for sure are. But I'm saying if they want to
Right.
grow beyond that,
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Because
I don't
think
know. I've
about
heard CrossFit is dying, so
maybe in terms of, well, this is a totally different discussion. It's just, this goes back to my, what I will consistently get to when it comes to anything, when it comes from a business standpoint. What we think from a business standpoint is based on what we have visibility to.
yeah.
What businesses focus on is the bottom line, the P&L, and what they think has a direct effect on, if it's a publicly traded company, shareholder value, earnings per share. Like that's what they care about, and growth in that space. So even like if you use the CrossFit example, the number of affiliates is down overall from my understanding. Number of affiliates is down. The affiliate fees some years ago like went up.
Yeah.
So just because you don't see a CrossFit on every corner, and I'm not saying that they're doing well, I'm just saying like that as a hypothetical example just because you may not be growing in the running community, if you are getting more users who are willing to put down however much it costs for a long-term membership, or they're paying more per month for the membership or whatever the case may be, you then can go to investors and you're like, actually, we've grown our subscriber value. So while we haven't necessarily grown the number of subscribers, we've actually created more value from the same number of subscribers that we have. So what's more impressive, 15,000 people paying $10,000 a month or 10,000 people paying $30 a month? That's the thing. So I think, anyways, back to the whole thing. I think what I find one of the most interesting things is just being so vehemently against something and then being like, well, now I actually see that if I want the business to continue to grow, I may have to budge on something. So it's almost like, the people who are like, well, I guess you're not standing on your values or you're not standing on what you believe in and all this other stuff. It's like, well, people will be adamant about standing for something until it hits them in the bottom line and you're a business and you got to keep up with certain things and you want to grow. Welcome to business. So I don't know. Are you going to use the step counting thing? Do you?
Yeah, I have it. It's on one of my main things. I don't like.
Do you, have you gotten any gauge of what the accuracy is or isn't comparatively to your Garmin? So I have heard some feedback that it's a bit off from what people are seeing on their Apple Watch.
Yeah, it seems. I wouldn't trust Apple, first off, but it seems off from my Garmin.
Wait, why wouldn't you trust Apple?
I just see it from the running side. Apple Watches are really bad.
From what standpoint?
Like GPS and stuff like that.
Are you saying bad generally or bad in comparison to Garmin? Or I guess you have that would be the comparison. You're saying compared to the Garmin?
Yeah, or like whatever the course is supposed to be kind of thing. I don't know. Their GPS
well, to me
seems
that
off.
totally. So to
and
me
heart
that
rate,
totally
heart rate
tracks.
very off.
Really? As
That's
far
what
as
I've
risk.
seen. It could be older models. I can't speak for the
Okay.
new ones.
Okay.
Yeah, but like.
I have not found that when it comes to comparing it to other wrist-based trackers. Wrist-based. The satellite
the newer
thing.
Garmin's are pretty good.
Well, the
Better,
satellite
I should
thing,
say.
or like anything that's like satellite related, like GPS related. That's Garmin to me will always have the upper hand because that's one of the things. Like Garmin first was known for what? GPSs in vehicles. So clearly they're going to have right. This is
Forgot
so
about that time.
Right. Well, oh gosh, I definitely dated myself.
No, we had a TomTom.
Yeah, there was Garmin, TomTom, and Magellan were like the big three.
Yeah, we had TomTom.
So, so what's interesting to me is I've recently, within the last like couple months, I remember talking to somebody about this and they had the same reaction too, where they're like, oh yeah, I forgot that Garmin made GPSs. And to me all along, like when I got my first Garmin some years ago, that was one of the selling points to me was, one of the selling points to me was, oh, this is the same company that makes Garmin GPSs. And those, I remember when I was using a Garmin GPS and traveling and things like that, they were always like fantastic. Like they were just really easy to use and very accurate with like needing to reroute and doing different things like that. So I was like, oh, they're accessing the same satellites or the same whatever system that they're going to use. So then it would seem to reason that their GPS technology that they're going to use in their watch is also going to be utilizing some of that technology that they use for the GPS for the vehicles. So I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. The heart rate thing, I have not heard as much with feeling like the Apple Watch for measuring heart rate isn't very accurate. Not to be confused with calories and all that. Just actual where your heart rate is.
Yeah, it's like during running specifically.
Did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But
well, I've heard I have heard from some folks though that they felt like it was off, like average of 500 to 600 steps, like on average. To start off, and it's also it was just released within the last month, I think. So
yeah, Let's see. I'm comparing my two right now.
And you've had them both on.
Not all day. This is not a good day because I did lift and wear my Garmin. But I did notice yesterday when I ran, I only wore my Garmin running and I had like
When you
11.
when you say only wore it running, you mean you only had the Garmin on when you ran, like you didn't have
Yeah.
the Whoop on?
No, I mean, I had both of them on. But like my Garmin steps only encapsulate the run because I didn't wear it throughout the rest of the day.
Oh, okay. That was the only time you put on your Garmin.
Yeah, but today I wore
Gotcha.
it lifting too, so it has both of
Okay.
those steps.
Okay.
But yesterday I ran like 7 miles almost. And
Yes, same.
Let's see.
Two truths and a lie.
Whoop says I had almost 12,000 steps, and I think Garmin was like 13 or 14.
Okay. Oh. Ooh.
I
Oh,
could be making that number up.
yeah. I gotcha.
I feel like Whoop
Okay.
is a little lower for running specifically.
Well, if we have any listeners that have a Whoop and have some sort of other wrist-based tracker, be interesting to hear
Yeah.
if you're utilizing the steps thing and you keep them both on consistently. I'd be interested to hear how that goes.
Yeah. It is interesting. Okay, so like this day, let's see, Friday, I'm pretty sure was wrong. I think I ran like 5.5 miles, and it says I have like 6,000 steps, which usually running there's like roughly 2,000 steps per mile ish.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, but it also right here says via Connect, which is the Garmin app.
The app. Yeah.
So I'm like, what steps are coming from where?
No, that's too much to think about. Okay.
Isn't that weird though? Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's nice having it on here. Like, that was one of the things I disliked about Whoop before, when I would like switch back and forth and be like, I kind of want to know my steps, especially on like my rest days, because my strain doesn't move really on rest days because I'm not doing anything. So it's nice to have steps on those days to be like, you know, if I go for a walk, my strain might be like 5 versus 4.5, but I can see
Yeah.
more so like, oh, instead of 2,000 steps for the whole day, I actually have 10,000, you know?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all that I had for that particular one.
Yeah.
So you want to do the, we'll wrap up with the last two here. Do the Strava AI. I don't know what
Yeah.
that's all about. Yeah. What's going on there?
Oh, people are upset.
Oh,
Well, some people are upset. Strava added an AI feature. So basically, when you complete an activity, upload it, it shows up in like 5 different spots on the run, at least, which is excessive in my mind.
interesting.
And let me see, I'll just pull up my run from today. Nope, that's lifting. Okay, so the one at the top, it says your recent long run was slower than your 30-day average, but you covered a new personal best distance for the week, which is not true. Demonstrating your improving endurance. I don't know what personal best it's talking about. Anyway, it looks like you crushed another long run, pushing your limits and hitting new personal best. While your pace was a bit slower than usual, the elevated elevation gain and extended duration show you're building endurance and strength. Keep up the great work. Your consistent training over the past month is really paying off. And I'm looking to see what PR trying to tell me I did. I got
think I saw something about this on Threads.
It's
Now that I think about it.
It's wild. It is kind of funny. Like, if you write a caption or a title, it will incorporate that into its feedback for you. But a lot of people are like, I didn't ask for this. Why? How can I opt out of this? Why is this
Yeah.
front and center? And if you like scroll down, like you can see like your paces and stuff, and it will like summarize some of those sections. And like, the only thing I found useful is knowing what my 30-day average is, because that's not really anywhere in the app unless you like manually calculate it. So like that's kind of cool, but it also doesn't really matter. Like on a speed day, it'll be like, oh, you're faster than your 30-day average. It's like, duh. Like, this wasn't an easy run, you know? of course it's going to be faster. I'm running, 3 miles at my 5K pace, which is like half my run.
Okay, did you have, to your knowledge, was there any sort of a heads up, like, hey, this is coming, like
Oh
that sort
no.
of thing?
Oh no, it just was there one day and I was like, what?
Okay.
And then it just kind of like, they have these graphs, like this circle pie chart, but
Yeah.
then it like summarizes it. Like I can read a graph, I don't need the words to tell me what the graph says, which is a complaint I've seen from other people, which I agree with. It just kind of seemed, to me, it seems like they're just hopping on the AI train just to do it. But
Yeah.
it's like not that useful. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's not
This is
like,
this is very much the like nobody, then no space.
yeah,
And then Strava. A few people have been asking us about the new AI features, so here you go. It's like
yeah,
nobody asked for this. That's the
yeah.
vibe that I'm getting. Nobody asked for this.
No one asked for it. And it seems like I saw like one of the comments was like, I know if my run was good or bad, like I don't need AI to tell me kind of thing, which some people probably
Yeah.
could use more of like, this is what your data is actually showing, but it's not even that useful in that regard. Because like sometimes it'll be like your heart rate was more elevated. And like it told me that on like a hot day when it hasn't been hot in a while. And I was like, duh. Like it was 70 degrees today instead of,
Okay. I got
55.
you.
You know what I
So,
mean? But
yeah. No, I'm saying like it sounds, so from my perspective, it definitely sounds like people are like, what's the point sort of
it
thing?
it
Like,
is what's the point.
yeah.
Because like
It's kind of wild
I'm
they haven't explained what the point is.
they might have. I haven't sought it out. So to be
Okay.
fair,
Okay.
but I compare it. Obviously, I have the Whoop too, and Whoop
Uh-huh.
has AI. Every day, it tells me something about what I should do based on my metrics and stuff. And like Whoop, while I will never ever follow it because I have built my own training plan and like I'm gonna do what I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. Whoops is more useful because it's like your metrics show this, you're not as recovered. So like this kind of activity will get you to this strain, which we recommend.
Yeah.
Especially like the more data, it'll tell me each day like try doing a lifting session for 60 minutes to get an optimal strain, or like go for a run for 80 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever. And like that's a lot more useful if I were to be looking for something actionable, versus Strava. It's just like another great run. Your training is paying off. Like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. I think from my perspective, like this, you're totally right, where it's like they're hopping on the AI train and it's like, okay, what can we do? And then
Yeah.
it's, well, we'll start off with basically kind of like a mini cheerleader.
A mini
So let's just kind
cheerleader
of do
from
that,
ChatGPT.
like that sort of thing. Yeah, because
Yeah.
even I mentioned that I got a new scale, and my
Hmm.
scale even has like it'll it'll show you like your weight, and then it runs through a couple of other metrics, and then it's like, have a great day, you're a rock star, or you can do all things through no, it doesn't, but it'll say like inspirational messages. And my Garmin
Yeah.
does the same thing. Like when I wake up in the morning and it goes through
Oh.
the recovery metrics, it'll also throw in some like word of inspiration or whatnot. So I mean, that's, yeah, that kind of that tracks with the way that things have the things that seem to go with AI. It sounds like
Yeah.
the most it's like the most basic version of AI humanly possible. Well, not
That's what it
humanly
seems like.
possible. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'll be curious. It's still in beta. So like you can turn it off right now if you want to opt out of beta. So I'll be curious like if they change anything when they roll it out to production to everyone. But yeah, right now it's just like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of other things they could have prioritized. But again, you brought up the business thing earlier. Maybe the investors are like, you need to use AI. And that was something to do with it. And they are calling it
right.
athlete intelligence, which is similar to Apple intelligence. All these variations of what AI is now, you know?
Yeah, I would venture to guess that it's either a starting point to kind of
Yeah.
figure out, okay, what could be useful. Or actually, that's my guess, that it's a starting point to figure out what could be useful. I think that the expectation that it's like a replacement for a coach is super unrealistic. Like that
Yeah.
sort of a thing, especially if it's like the first venture into it and whatnot. I I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what we've talked about very consistently when it comes to AI, whether it was AI generated plans, or that's what we've mostly talked about, like AI generated
Hmm.
plans and whatnot. And this like understanding that these things are not best used right now as, and I don't think will ever be, and we're both biased in this because we're coaches, used as a replacement for human interaction and human advice and digging into like very nuanced things and knowing the right questions to ask and different things like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's I don't know. I think that's part of that comes from like this generated fear of what AI could potentially do at some point. Like people are so afraid that AI was created to replace human intelligence that
Yeah.
it's now being used as the standard of how to judge AI. Like it's almost like the
Mm.
fear has set the standard
Yeah.
of, okay, well that's what everything is used for. Like that's what AI is used for. And the example that I think of where it's like AI has like can be helpful is like the predictive stuff
Hmm.
where like, I get in my car and or yeah, so I was thinking about this like my wife's car has Apple Play or
Mm.
AirPlay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Apple AirPlay.
CarPlay?
CarPlay, thank you. Yeah. So I get in her car, and then when I connect my phone, depending on the time of the day, when Apple Maps connects, it immediately shows me like the distance to the place that I normally drive during
Mm.
that time of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like that predictive, okay, well, usually this is your pattern, this is your routine. It's also not telling me like I'm not looking to it to be like, oh, well, I was going to go to the grocery store, but since you're saying I normally go to the gym at this time, I should probably just go to the gym. Like, come on, people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I realize that that's like kind of an extreme example, and also it's like I don't know. People talk so much about like AI is going to take over humans and all these other things, and it's like, is it really, or are you basically giving it like a reason to take over because you're not thinking rationally?
Yeah. I also
Uh,
think it would have a long way to go. I mean, we talked about the self-driving cars trying to park themselves, right? Was that
I
us?
believe. Well,
In
I
like
don't
San
know.
Francisco, and they were honky all night because they were
The
all in
Waymo.
each other's way.
I've heard about it. Yeah, I've heard about it.
Like, I don't know. Obviously, things will advance, but
Yeah, yeah.
the
I
self-driving
don't know.
cars can't even park themselves.
Yeah, this will it'll be interesting to see maybe how that continues to develop. I do think that with a tool like that, if you're not at least exploring it, then as like an app or
Mhm.
your company like Strava, like if you're not at least exploring what the possibilities could be, then you're potentially leaving money on the table, like just
Yeah.
to see. I think sometimes people confuse like beta or testing or somewhere in between that. They confuse that with, okay, they've decided that this is the next phase, like this is exactly what we're doing. Like
Yeah.
God forbid a company puts something out there to figure out like, hey, let's just kind of test the waters and see. Like we know that users are not going to automatically cancel Strava. Like we're not going to lose 100% of our customer base or even a large chunk of our customer base by adding this particular feature. Let's just kind of see what they say. Oh, they hate it. Okay, cool. Let's take it away.
Yeah. It is interesting because they have they have before tested certain things. Like I've been in an actual beta group with
Uh-huh.
Strava,
Yeah.
But this just like popped up one day. Like, I don't know. They might have done the beta group, honestly. And like those people might have been like, yeah, this is cool. And then maybe they were like, okay, we're going to give it to more people. But
I just love the framing. Like, nobody asked for this.
No one, I feel like there's so many other things they could do that people would be more excited about. Like,
everybody's been asking me for my morning routine. No, they haven't.
One thing I wish they would do is like, I mean, I don't know if it's technically AI, probably not, but like you can go into their maps and like generate routes. But have I talked about this with you? I've talked about it with someone. Anyway.
Bro, we're almost 40 episodes in, so
it's true.
Yeah.
But whenever I go in there, like sometimes I'll go in there like, okay, my weekday run is usually 6 miles, but I'm like sick of running the same 6-mile loop. So I'll be like, okay, 6-mile route. Where can I go? It gives me literally the same 3 options. And I'm like, there's got to be more. Like, you can enhance this feature to like either be like, I've run these, I don't want to see these, refresh kind of thing, you know, like give me more options. That would be more useful to me than AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, I think they use like the popular, like the heat map, the most populated places where people would go. So it gives me the same variations, which is like honestly where I normally run. So, or like even just an option like from my starting point, I don't want to go north because all of the routes, like there's a big lake near me. So it's always like run up here. I'm like, how about you take me southeast? For once in your life, take me southeast. Give me some routes over there because I haven't really ventured there, and it would be nice to have like a route to follow that I didn't make myself. Anyway,
it's funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Strava problems.
All right. Well, hashtag Strava problems.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to talk about the last one next episode?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll move it to the next episode.
Do you want to tease it?
We're going to talk about Oura Ring and Peter Attia's lawsuit.
Yeah. Another scandal.
Yeah. Insert dramatic music here.
Yeah. That was fascinating. I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Very interesting.
All right.
So we'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
Let's see. Yeah. Anything coming up for you on MFA maybe?
No.
Nah.
I mean, I still have to record. I said I was going to record the episode about why I transitioned back to tech. And one day I will. And that might be the last episode. So.
Okay. All right.
I am going to be a guest host on Your Marks, Get Set, Bake.
Oh, I dig it. Okay.
In a couple weeks. Yeah. With Joy. So.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
What about help me understand?
I just put out an episode yesterday. So, this comes out Friday. So this would have came out Saturday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's a recent episode that just came out where I talked about, oh Lord have mercy, what did I talk about? Self-doubt. So I talked about three times that negative like self-doubt really comes into play.
Play offense all week.
No. Different one. Nope.
That's the last one I have.
Oh, need to refresh.
Oh gosh.
Play offense all week was like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
I'm so far behind it paused my downloads. How rude.
That's okay. So anyways, I put out an episode about just with my perspective on self-doubt and 3 times where I have both experienced it and see it come up like 3 separate times during the phase of like really going after achieving a particular goal. So I talked about that. And then I also, either Monday or Tuesday, likely Tuesday, I'm going to have an episode coming out with an interview with a guest who is a friend of mine, Maggie. And it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month as we are speaking. Right? Yeah, October, right? Yeah, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Know.
So Maggie is a breast cancer thriver. And we spent some time talking about 5 do's and don'ts when someone that you love has cancer. So she spent some time, we spent some time having a conversation about that particular post and going through some suggestions that she has for others based on her perspective, her experience as someone who has gone through treatment for breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy. Like, she really has I think a very, very specific perspective to share. And yeah, so we had a really good conversation about that. So that will be out. I'm going to say no later than Tuesday. It might be Monday. I just got the audio back, like
Oh,
literally
cool.
before we hopped on this call. So
Well, the people
I
won't
wanted
know
to,
any different.
yeah. So and I keep forgetting about that. Yeah. Yeah. Cause
By the time this comes out, it should be out.
yeah, you're more of a like plan a header when it comes to planner a header. When it comes to podcasts and all that stuff, I am like, if I released, if especially if it's a solo episode, you can bet that if it released at like 4 p.m., it was recorded at 3:52. Yeah, like I finished recording at 3:52. Like I just record and go, like record and go, unless it's a
Yeah.
conversation. So, oh, I do have one more, another conversation one that is planned. We had to reschedule, but a peer of mine named Greg, who's a trainer out in Las Vegas. So
Ooh.
we are going to be sitting down to talk this week. He's got a really, really interesting perspective and story about being recruited to play Division I football, getting injured, recovering from that, now having lost 65 pounds, I want to say,
Dang.
as an athlete. He is actually, I don't know if he still is, but he is a client of Mason. Is that his name? That
Oh,
was on your podcast?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I've talked to him then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool guy. Really
He
cool guy.
seems cool.
So, yeah, he is. So we're going to have a conversation this week.
Oh, nice.
So anyways, all right. With that, that is going to close out this episode. So you want to tell folks where to find us?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Lifting Running Living Pod. You can email us at liftingrunningLivingPod@gmail.com. And you can leave us a rating and review wherever you listen.
All right, cool. So with that, we are going to call it an episode. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Take care. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.